Hi guys, we just wanted to say that the final episode in the series will be coming out in a few weeks. It features all the amazing celebrations behind Orient's title win, loads of behind the scenes stuff, and of course the FA Trophy final at Wembley. But before all of this, we wanted to tell you a story that we believe all football fans should hear. The video you're about to watch is about a man who is so inspirational behind everything that is good at this club. And the message contained in this episode has the power to save lives.
You know, I'm quite open to say this. If what happened to me, if that would have happened to one of my players, or one of my players would have come to me with my problems, as he walked out of the room, I would have said to my coach, forget about him, he's no use to us. When I go and see my doctor every 3 months now to keep on my tablets, the first question he asks, have you got any suicidal thoughts?
And we've hit form at the right time.
On the hide on that one too, there's a header! And it's in the back of the net!
7 consecutive wins at any time is good, but the time we've come into that.
As the corner comes in again, there's a chance for 2! And it is 2! And it's that man again, Josh Coulson. It's a copycat from the first goal.
This is where the trophy's been such a huge competition for us.
That's a chance. Crossing comes and it's 1-0!
Off the back of the Brackley game, we found ourselves a goal down, and the boys showed real fighting spirit. In the second half, we come out and they really rolled their sleeves up and showed what togetherness that they've got. And I think galvanised everybody to try to put in a run first and foremost. Obviously, no one plans that you're going to win 7 games on the spin.
Hopefully we can continue with that momentum until the end of the season and get promoted and get the club back into the Football League.
You know, it's the most wins we've had throughout the season consecutively, and that's testament to the players. They've been excellent throughout the whole campaign.
Again, I sort of look at my career and, you know, I had 5 years, out of my 18 you could have 5 in the top 2 leagues and my other 13 were in the bottom league. Everyone remembers me they all thought I played in the Premier League and the Championship all my career. That wasn't true. See, I never ever got nerves, ever, in my life as a player or manager. That's where this illness froze me really, because I wasn't that tight, but then I realised now what I used to do is suppress my feelings, and that's when the explosion comes. But again, it's later in the interview. I've done an interview before we start. Let's go quick before I forget everything.
Martin Ling is Director of Football at Leyton Orient. As a player, manager and in his current role, he has dedicated over a decade of his life to this club. But during Martin's managerial career, he has faced a difficult battle with mental illness.
I think during my playing career, which started in '82 and went to 2000, never heard of anybody that had mental health issues.
What was the perception of mental health back in the days?
A sign of weakness, that you were weak, you wasn't mentally strong, you wasn't up to the task or the job. It wasn't spoken about, it wasn't known.
Mental health is something that we all have, just as we have physical health. So it affects the way we think, we feel and we behave. And just as our bodies become unwell, sometimes so does our minds.
What you got to remember, one in 4 people suffer with a mental illness. 1 in 4. So if there's 1 in 4 people that have got it, then there's an awful lot of people not talking about it.
So mental illness is something that affects you over a period of time, and it affects your mood, your feelings, your behaviours, your relationships. The symptoms are so varied, ranging from common mental health problems, so things like anxiety and depression, which can be defined by, characterised by a low mood, might be feeling tearful, easily upset, feelings of hopelessness, worthlessness. It's often very hidden, so people will have a sort of a mask on to get through their day-to-day life.
I can talk about this and it's quite cleansing. I'm not ashamed, where before I didn't want anybody to know, or I didn't want anybody to feel sorry for me.
And it can be really dangerous as well. We see so many suicides through depression.
Could I understand previously people taking their own life? No. Do I understand it now? Yes, I do. Because when your head is that muddled, fuzzled, whatever it is, you're not thinking rationally.
Unfortunately, in my previous job at Rushden and Diamonds, we had a young goalkeeper that took his life through suicide. We were on a team bus going to a game. He hadn't turned up for the meeting. We tried to contact him. We rung. We couldn't. I tried myself. Players. We left it with senior members of the club while we travelled, and then unfortunately I got the worst phone call that I could ever imagine, that he took his own life. I had to pull the coach over and tell 20 players who were not only colleagues but were close friends, and it was the worst thing and the worst feeling that I've ever experienced, and one that I never ever wish upon anyone and never hope it ever happens again.
I think anyone that takes their own life, if you could have got to an hour after and they were still alive, they would say, "Why did I do it?"
With Dal Roberts, he didn't really let me know, but there might have been some telltale signs that I would probably see now in a player. But like I say, it's a macho industry. It's not something that you want to let the dressing room know. You don't want to let people know that you feel low or you're not up to training or you've got problems. But it's nothing wrong with being open and honest about that, because your health and your life is much more important than football. But I've probably got more respect for Martin now because I played with him and I've known him throughout his football career. And one of the lads, Martin would have been old school like me, that 20 years ago, that would have been, "Oh, you're weak." You wouldn't have been accepted in a group. You would have been told to liven up, deal with it, get on with it. But for Martin, as someone as he was, to be as open and honest as he has about it, is quite remarkable, really. So I take my hat off to him, I really do.
Martin first suffered with the illness while managing at Cambridge United, and then later again at Torquay. It was at this point he found himself in the Priory, a mental health hospital in southwest London. Despite recovering to return to management, his next job at Swindon lasted just 2 months as the illness struck again. This was to be his last job in management and the second time in the Priory.
And it all manifested itself it was my second season at Torquay. It all come to an end when I thought my head was going to explode with a brain. I convinced myself I had a brain tumour, and we went to Royal Devon Exeter Hospital. But after being in the bed for about 3 hours in the hospital, I knew there was nothing wrong with me, and I knew it was the mental health that was playing on me. So I said, I'm going to come home tomorrow morning, and I started driving on the M4. And as I was driving down the M4, I thought I was having an heart attack. So my heart felt like it was coming out of my chest. I could hardly hold on to the wheel. Phoned my wife up and said I'm having an heart attack, and my wife said to me, "Martin, you had a brain tumour on Sunday, you're having a heart attack now, it's your mental health." It was diagnosed that I was having a mental breakdown.
It upsets me. It upsets me because people will frown upon that from the outside and go, "Well, how can he be depressed? It's the best job in the world." If that was me, I'd never allow that to happen. It's a nonsense the way people look at it, and to put the football to the side, it's just about someone's life.
Quite makes me laugh now, I shouldn't laugh, but I remember walking on the road and I had Dean Smith, who's 6 foot on one side of me because there was a railway track there, and I had my cousin's husband, Bozzle, on that side, and that was for the road. And they were walking, and they didn't think I realised they were walking either side of me because I might jump over there. And that wasn't the case, but I can remember thinking, what am I doing to these people?
We were going through a good time at Swindon when I was that close to Martin to experiencing it.
Swindon come about, obviously it was close to my heart because I'd played there for 5 years. It was a dream job.
The club didn't look in a particularly great state. It was quite quickly, the results turned quite well, and I think we found ourselves sort of 14th, 15th in the league off of 5 wins in 7 that really propelled us out of the bottom 4 and started to look up rather than down.
And everything was okay, but after about 3 weeks, I started to get that I don't really want to be here. And everything was looking rosy on the outside, and then I started to put in my head, I'm going to let Ross down.
So you just think that everything's okay, but what you don't see is underneath that, how someone's hurting or how much turmoil somebody's going through. And for me, it just felt like at the time that Martin was just being a bit quiet and a bit off.
Because I don't want them to know that I'm feeling like I'm feeling. I don't want to make their life a misery. I talked about suppressing. I just suppress it down, it'll go away. Suppress, and that's when you get an explosion. I've learned to, if things worry me now, get them out. I know, even though I tried to hide it, I knew that he could feel it.
It was very, very difficult to understand why did he feel under pressure, or why wasn't he talking, or why was he quiet at times when you knew, normally you wouldn't expect that of him.
It must be very, very, very confusing, and I guess that's what he said, because he would have thought that I'm not talking to him because he's done something wrong.
We sort of had a discussion because I wanted to bring up, had I upset him or had I done something that he wasn't particularly happy with, or that I needed to change from a work perspective, and it was fortunate then that he started to explain that he was having a tough period, and I think that the real difficult thing off the back of that was that it got a little bit worse for him once he made the decision to step away from football.
I like to talk about the two heads. That head might be telling me suicide's a good idea. It's a great idea. Who's going to suffer? You'll be out of all your pain. You'll have nothing to worry about. This pain that you've got in your head will go away. And then this head will say to me, are you being serious? How about your family? How about your wife and your 2 children and your parents, and what it's going to do to them?
At the time I was a lot younger. I think I was about 14, 15, 16, so I didn't really know at the time. Obviously I knew something wasn't right.
So for Sam and that, and I don't think they'd ever tell me how it really was. If I'm honest with them, they might want to hide that from me. I'm sure their mums grunted a lot of that. But I didn't realise what I was like, and I didn't realise what he'd done to them. But for them to come, he hated the Priory. I remember him saying that to me, and my daughter didn't like it either.
Something wasn't right when I went to visit him when he stayed away at the Priory. It was very weird for me. I would sort of talk to him and it would be like talking, I wasn't getting anything back from him. When
he got picked for England C and they asked him the 3 best things in his life and the 3 worst things, and my illness was number 1. That took the wind out of my sails.
But now things are different. He's flying at the minute, he's feeling really good, and he's now taking it to other people and helping them, so long may that continue.
You can imagine when this job came up, can't you, on the 22nd of June 2017.
I remember Martin when he was a player here, and number 7.
Well, Martin was a servant for the club back in the day in '86, the team that got us promoted.
I remember meeting Nigel and Kemp for the first time, and with Matt Porter, and he said they want to offer you something to do something. I said, I hope it ain't the manager's job.
The fact that he's the last manager to have got us promoted, 06, 05, 06, so there's a lot of high regard that Martin's held in.
And Martin, just thank you very much for everything you've done for our football club, because I think that Martin has been instrumental.
Sitting here today, so I've been 3 years, just about 3 years since my last bout. It's the happiest I've ever been. See, the reason I can say I love it is that I loved it last year when it wasn't going so well.
Oh, it's too easy. And the shot comes in, and it is 2-0!
Well, obviously, when he first came back last season, we didn't have a team. So, and he basically had a couple of weeks to get a team, otherwise we might not even be able to play. So the fact that he managed to pull a team together, and some good players in that team as well, was quite amazing, really.
They've had the lion's share of the match on, they just can't find a way through, but there's a shot! Oh, it's a wonderful goal!
I love a spreadsheet. And, a good-looking spreadsheet looks better than a 4-4-2 for me at the moment. It really does. You have got control of that spreadsheet. You ain't got control of the footballers. So it's all good. Having a life-work balance. I love my job. I always used to think it was the most important thing.
Back in the day, there was nothing more important than football, and there's so much more.
Can we ever say that anybody's ever doing enough? Probably not. The fact that more and more people are coming out and talking about it, and there's more exposure is a good thing.
The PFA research alone showed between 2016 and 2018 a 500% increase in people reaching out for help and support. It doesn't mean that that it's a new problem or it never existed. It just means that people are more comfortable having that conversation, and most crucially, getting the help and support that they need.
But like I say, I'm not sure we'll ever quite get to that stage where we've nailed it.
I've got a saying as well that I always use. You can always start your day again at any time. And if I'm honest, I only look forward. I appreciate what's happened there, but for me, the next 24 hours is what I look forward to, and that's every 24 hours. I don't look back and arbour about what could have been and how things could have been. If I've never had this illness, could I be now managing Man United? I appreciate what I've had, but my thinking is thinking forward, not backwards.
One way or another, as that comes across, can he keep it down? It's all over the shop, it's off the ice! It's gone in! And right at the death, Matt Howell, I think. But who cares?
My advice would be don't suffer in silence. If you don't come and talk about it, if you don't share it, it's going to get worse. It don't get no better.
Be open, be honest, seek help. It's not weakness, it's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's an illness that needs treating.
If someone's out there is struggling right now, it's really important that you talk to someone that you trust, but also to seek help from professionals, whether that's your GP, Mind, or somebody like the Samaritans. It's really important that you reach out to somebody.
Help's out there to get, and there shouldn't be any shame in doing that. So I definitely think the football world is on the turn with mental health.
I don't know who's got it, Andy, but it could be a very vital point come the end of the season.
When you said to me at the start, anything you don't want to say, don't say it. There's nothing I don't want to say. The reason I do that is if I can help a little bit, but I'm a bit selfish in that because it helps me. It does help me. Sitting here talking to you now helps me to face it and understand it and get to the bottom of it and then move on. Is so freeing.
Thanks again for watching, guys, and thanks to everyone who shared their stories with us in this episode. Talking about these problems really is the best way forwards. As always, please remember to subscribe to Dream Team for more football content, and in the meantime, come on you O's!